Hello everyone and thanks for tuning into part 2 of the first winter 2021-2022 update from GavsWeatherVids. So this is the analog side of the first winter update for 2021-2022, and I shall talk you through those analogues in a second. Very, very different update, this one, to anything that we've ever done before. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. I shall get on it for you in a second. Just say that the first part of the first winter 2021-2022 update has been released. It was released yesterday on Sunday. We premiered that yesterday afternoon. Interesting watch, looking at things like sea surface temperature, Anomaly, solar activity, QBO, and a lot more as well. So check out part 1 if you would like to do that of this first winter update. Have not yet seen it, then it is available on the YouTube channel via the winter updates playlist. So, check it out whenever you want and have a watch of that. And I'm going to get on with part 2 of this winter update in a second. Just say thank you so much to Rich of the amazing GavsWeatherVids Winter 2021-2022 updates GIF. I love the GIF. Thank you so much, Rich. I think it's one of your best. I absolutely love that. So thank you so much to Richard for the incredible winter updates GIF. If you're enjoying winter updates, here we are. We are back doing winter updates for another season. So if you're enjoying the winter updates so far, I've only done like one part of the first update, but if you're enjoying it, then please can you smash that like button. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. You'll be able to see future weather content, including future winter updates. And drop a comment, let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Thank you so much for doing that. And if you're watching the premiere, because we're premiering this on Monday evening, so if you're watching the premiere, hello to all of you. And thank you for checking in on your Monday evening to the premiere. Right, I think we better get on with this update then. So let's do this. And as I said, we're doing something very, very different for this first analogues set. So we're actually going to be looking at teaser winters for this update. In fact, sort of winters following teaser winter. We'll have a look at teaser winters as well. And I'll talk you through everything in a second. Now, this is the 500 millibar geopotential height anomaly for the winter of 2020-2021, last winter. You see, it did have a considerable amount of blocking around Greenland and back into the northern latitudes. There's plenty of high pressure within the northern latitudes, and we very, very nearly had a really cold winter. The only problem was this trough of low pressure pretty much over top of the UK and Ireland. We needed to send that further southwards in towards Spain, Bay of Biscay, some parts of France. If we sent the low pressure further southwards along with the jet stream, we would have started to pull in a very, very cold east-north-east winter. As it is, Scotland did have a colder than average winter last winter, but England and Wales was just generally quite close to the 81 to 2010 average. And, it was quite wet himself. There was plenty of snow, though, up in the northern part of the country. And I sort of termed this as a teaser winter, and in fact I called this, for 2020-21, I called it a teaser winter when we did our 2020-2021 forecast, which was a pretty good forecast, actually. I was very pleased with how it came out. We got most of the broad trends right. We said it was going to be a colder winter, but not a particularly cold winter in historical terms. But we did say that it would be a little bit colder than the winters before it. And if it was what I term as a teaser winter, then that could be setting up something much colder for the following winter for 2021-2022. And in fact, the winter forecast for 2020-21 was kind of like a double forecast, if you like. So the first part of it was for 2020-2021, but there's also that element for 21-22. That was very much at work. And because the first part of that sort of opus, double forecast, if you like, because that first part was so successful, I thought the place to start with this year's winter updates would be with the whole teaser winter idea. Now, just to say, there's no sort of criteria for a teaser winter. It's not defined in any way, so it wouldn't be something that would be acknowledged by the UK Met Office. It wouldn't be acknowledged by WMO, World Meteorological organisation. You know, it's purely my own personal subjective view. Some people will disagree with me doing this update, and that's absolutely fine. You know, that's absolutely fine. But it's my personal opinion that through what I've observed, that sometimes you do get a cooler winter before a very much colder winter. Excuse me, a very much colder winter, you know, later on, the following winter. So, but it wouldn't be something that would be defined, and it's purely my subjective opinion, and the years I've picked out as teaser winters and winters but follow, but what I class as teaser winters, you know, it's just my own personal subjective view. So some people will disagree with the whole concept, and that's absolutely fine. Some people will disagree with the years that I've picked out as teaser winters, and so the following winter being, you know, the colder winter of the two or whatnot. And again, that's absolutely fine. It's all for discussion. It's all for debate. So you know, let me know in the comments what you think after the video. And you know, thank you so much for doing that and for getting involved and, you know, getting in part of the discussion and whatnot. So, right, so let's have a geopotential high time loss for last winter. Now, this is from the climate averages page at the UK Met. So this is how the temperature anomaly actually comes out for winter of 2020, 2021. You see, the idea is there, but it's a colder winter in the north. We have a below average winter set against 81 to 2010 averages for Scotland, almost into northern England, and just into parts of Northern Ireland as well, a little bit below average. Further south, most of England and Wales actually comes away with an average temperature anomaly for the winter of 2020-2021. So it's a cooler winter, but it's not desperately cold. Look how that compares to the winter before it. So there we are. We've got 2019-20, exceptionally mild winter. So compared to that, it's a cooler winter, but it is not a particularly cold winter in its own terms. I don't think I'm going to give away any spoilers, but I say I think the last time we had what I would classify as a teaser winter, followed by a much colder winter, was 08-09 and then 09-10. So I can actually show you the temperature anomaly for 2008-2009. Here it is. There's a temperature anomaly for 2008-2009 set against 81 to 2010 averages. It's kind of like a flip of 2020-2021 actually. In that, again, it is a rather cooler winter. But this time, the coldest anomalies to average are actually, interestingly, more for the south. And Scotland and Northern Ireland actually come away, they're the areas that come away average. But again, it's that same idea, but it's a cooler winter compared to the winter before it. I'll show you that for 2007-08. There it is. Look how warm that winter was of 07-08. So compared to the winter before it, or the winters before it, 08-09 was a cooler winter, did have some snow at times, but it is not a particularly cold winter. Now, look what happens in the next winter, though. 09-10, look how much colder 09-10 is. There it is. Look how much colder it is in 2009-2010. Most areas coming out like 2 degrees below the 81 to 2010 average. So clearly there's that idea at work. So we have a very mild run of winter, then we have a cooler but not particularly cold winter, and then the next one is much colder. And actually the one after that is quite cold as well. This is 2010-2011. But of course that got very much milder after the December to remember. So it has that brutally cold December in 2010. But then the latter part of winter gets milder. So out of the three, 08-09, 09-10, and 10-11, out of the three, the coldest winter overall, you know, from beginning to end, is actually 09-10, which is the winter, of course, that follows what I classify as a little bit of a teaser winter for 08-09. Right, so that's explained all about. I'm going to go through all of the years that I've picked out as teaser winters now then. So again, some people would disagree with some of these, and that's absolutely fine. Let me know in the comments which years you think are right as teasers, and which years you know would prefer we didn't show, and have I missed any but you would classify as a teaser? Let me know in the comments. Right, so the first I picked out is 1907, 1908. This one has below average heights across northern and eastern parts of Europe. And by the way, the whole thing with a teaser winter doesn't necessarily have to be quantified in terms of temperature. So not all of these winters I picked out as teasers will be teasers in terms of the temperature, but often more perhaps in terms of the overall geopotential height anomalies within the North Atlantic and Northern Europe. And this is a good example of that. So you have this area of low pressures below average heights across northern, northeastern parts of Europe combined with a high pressure in the North Atlantic and in the northern latitudes as well. So there is some blocking. It's quite weak blocking, but it is there to some degree. So this gives the idea, but you know, we're bringing in the wind from like a bit of a northerly direction some of the time. There's certainly going to be cold snaps going on, and particularly for northern Europe and northeast Europe, it's probably you know, really quite a cold winter. But for the UK, for Ireland, it's not remembered as a particularly cold winter. But definitely the pattern gives the idea that you know, it could be a little bit of a teaser. Our next one's going to be quite controversial because this is 1915, 1916. Now the reason I picked this one out, it doesn't have all that much block, but the reason I picked this one out is that it has a very cold November in 1915, one of the coldest Novembers on record. There's then a very long mild run that does include the mildest January on CET record. We have not beaten January 1916. Despite all of the warm winters we've had in recent years and decades, we have not beaten that long-standing January CET record of 1916. But then the cold comes back later on in the winter and towards the end of February and into March of 1916 gets much, much colder. So actually the coldest weather for 1915, 1916 is outside of the winter months really, which is something that you do get a little bit with teasers, especially late on in February. So this one doesn't really show much, you know, in terms of the geopotential height anomaly. It's a very westerly winter with below average heights over to the north of the country. There is a little bit of blocking up here, but from a height orange perspective, not really a teaser. But in terms of when you drill down into the detail of this winter, I think it does kind of qualify as a little bit of a teaser. Now, the next one I picked out as teaser winter is very clear cut. This is 1927, 1928. So this one is a proper teaser. It has a Scandinavian high, very easterly in December of 1927, but it also has deep low pressure in the Atlantic, bringing in those westerly winds. So it has a very cold and easterly December in 1927, combined with a real classic white Christmas as well, by the way. But when that goes around the new year, when it all falls out after that classic white Christmas, the rest of winter is mild, wet, Atlantic zonal, and you know, not particularly interesting. And again, that is something that you get quite a bit with the teaser winters, but it will be one month in particular that stands out. But overall, the rest of the winter is not all that you know, it's not all that cold at all. The next one is very classic as well. This is 1938, 1939, looking very similar in a lot of ways. So 27, 28. So again, this one has like the Scandinavian high. It's extending back into the high latitude. So there is a non-blocking signal. It's got the below average heights of low pressure across western parts of Europe again. And again, this one is particularly cold around December and particularly late December around Christmas. Again, classic white Christmas in 1938. And then 1939, you know, January has a mix of you know, really quite cold and snowy weather at times, but also milder, wetter weather. And then, and it's a very wet January, and then February 1939 goes really mild, and February and March 1939 are very, very mild months indeed. Again, that does work out very nicely as a teaser. But next I picked out more of a geopotential height anomaly. This is 1945, 1946. So you see this winter does have quite a lot of blocking within the northern latitudes from Greenland back into the Arctic. It has the below average heights across eastern Europe. It's not particularly cold winter. There's a few little easterly incursions, I think, particularly focusing January of 1946. But overall, it's not a particularly cold winter. But from a geopotential height anomaly perspective, it is quite an interesting winter, and it does qualify, I think, as a little bit of a teaser with that blocking signal, albeit quite a weakish blocking signal, but it is definitely there waiting to strengthen in the following winter. More about that in a second. Our next teaser that I picked out is 1953, 1954. So this one, again, has a Scandinavian high, but it also has this ridge in the Atlantic as well, so with below average heights to the south. So with this one, it gets cold late. So the cold with this particular winter is particularly focused on February of 1954. But the first part of the winter is actually quite mild and westerly, indicated, you know, by the high pressure in the Atlantic combined with the low pressure around Greenland and whatnot. So that's the tease winter I picked out, 53, 54. Our next tease winter I picked out is 61, 62. So this one, again, would be above average heights in the Atlantic, extending that into Greenland, but below average heights across eastern, northern parts of Europe. And again, with this one, we do get cold snaps. It's not reliably cold. So this one, again, quite cold around Christmas. That's something that does come out a little bit with these teasers. Often they're cold around Christmas. So Christmas to New Year 1961 is quite cold. January 62 is milder and stormier generally, and then it gets much colder again later on in the winter, sort of second half of February and into March of 1962 gets very cold. In fact, March 1962 is one of the coldest Marches on record. And then got 77, 78, which, you know, I talked quite a lot about for last winter, because I did think, you know, was quite a close winter. 2020, 2021 was often seemed quite close to 1977, 1978. Again, this one, blocking signal is there around Greenland, but not in pole position, not in prime position to deliver us reliably cold weather. This one with low pressure again across Western Europe, but again, just not quite far enough south with that trough to really pull in those easy winds and to be a very, very cold winter. Nevertheless, it did get cold later on in winter, so it had a mild December in 77. January 78 was quite stormy and had cold incursions, but not continuously cold. And then it was through February that the cold really sort of set in, and we had a cold and snowy spell, 2 or 3 week spell during February of 78. The next I picked out could be a little bit controversial. This is 83, 84. This is actually quite a zonal winter, but it is also quite for a zonal winter. It is also a cold winter as well, really. So it has like blocking in the pull back into the Atlantic, very close to Newfoundland. So a rather unusual position. That's the Azores High, rather unusual position for the Azores High. Lots of low pressure in from Greenland into Western Europe, and we send the jet stream, you know, on a northwest-southeast alignment, and we pull in lots of cold air from Canada, which is really unusual. It's a very, very strange winter, 83, 84. But it is like a cold winter for a zonal winter, if you see what I mean. So normally a West Atlantic driven winter, you would think it would be a mild winter, but it isn't particularly. And actually, this winter does contain quite a lot of snow across the northern half of the country. So this one stands out as a little bit of an outlier, I think, within the rest of these teasers that I picked out. But I think, you know, due to the strangeness of this winter and what happens in the following winter, it probably does qualify as a little bit of a teaser, to be honest. And then there's a long gap. We don't get any teasers in the 1990s, and we nearly go through the 2000s without one either. So the final tease winter that I picked out, you know, is going to be 2008, 2009. This is how it looks in terms of the geopotential heights. We talked about in terms of the temperature. This is how the geopotential heights look. Again, it is blocking there. It's relatively weak. It's to our north and northwest. You see, it's not a classic non-blocking signal, but there is a little bit of blocking. High pressure from Scandinavia back into Western Russia. Lower pressure is to our south across southern Europe. So again, you get the idea, but we probably bring in the wind from the east quite a bit. But the blocking is not enough to be able to sustain a really, really cold winter. And then, of course, we have 2020, 2021. Is that a teaser, though? Because the thing with teaser winters is that you only know that it's been a teaser winter, it was a teaser winter, when the second winter comes out much colder. So I'll just put in, like, a question mark with that. Is it a teaser winter? Was it a teaser winter, 2020, 2021? Let me know in the comments what you think. Okay, so that's the teasers that I picked out. I'm going to pause the video there. You're going to stretch your legs and whatnot. If you watch it on the premiere, it's going to be very funny because we'll be starting, you know, as soon as I stop. But for anybody watching after the premiere, then you go and stretch your legs, get a cup of tea, and when we come back, I'll talk you through those winters, but follow the teaser winters. And you're going to see a little bit of eye candy if you like cold and snowy weather. So I'll see you in a second. Okay. Wasn't sure what I was going to do then, was you? Okay, we're back. And in the first part of this part 2 of the first winter 21-22 update, we were talking about teaser winters, what I qualify as teasers. And so we've gone through those winters. Now we're going to look at the winters that follow those teaser winters, and you wait until you have a look at these. Right, okay, so the first winter following a teaser winter is 1908-1909. It's the first proper cold winter of the 20th century. There aren't that many cold winters in the first 40 years of the 20th century, to be honest, but this is one of them. It has, you know, quite a lot of high pressure around Scandinavia and back towards Svalbard. It has lower pressure to our south, and we bring in winds from the east quite a lot. It's not a severe winter, but it does have regular cold and wintry outbreaks in the winter of 1908-1909. The next winter is quite a severe winter, actually. It's 1916-1917. So this is in the first 40 years, or 39 years, I suppose, of the 20th century. This is kind of like the coldest winter that we have, I think, in the middle of the First World War. So this one has a lot of blocking around Greenland. Notice we send that trough of low pressure much further southwards compared to where it is in most of these winters, and so this is bringing the wind from the east a lot. So it's a cold and snowy winter in 1916-1917, actually quite severe, and it goes on well into the spring as well. The next winter, following a teaser winter, is 1928-1929. This is a classic sort of easterly winter. It has high pressure around Scandinavia and back to Greenland. It has low pressure across southern parts of Europe. So you get the idea with this winter, but we're bringing the wind from the east, bringing the winds from the Urals a lot. Very easterly winter with the easts on and off throughout much of the winter. So cold and regular sort of easterly winds to the winter 1928-1929, that high pressure centre over Scandinavia. Now check this one out. This is 1939-1940, of course, following on from 1938-1939. Look how much stronger the blocking is in 1939-1940. Incredible amounts of blocking in the high latitudes, and particularly focus on Greenland and Iceland. And look how far southwards the jet stream is going with the low pressures as well, coming down into the far southern part of Europe, probably even times into North Africa. We have a long run of mild winters, generally from a severe winter of 1895 to 1940. There is not really a severe winter, though 1917 gets close. But, you know, February 1895 to January 1940, 45 years we go without a sub-zero CT month. And this one delivers it. January 1940 delivers that sub-zero CT month. It's a very severely cold winter and severely cold January in particular. The next one, of course, is 1946-1947. This is also another severe winter, though it's mild early on. December 1946 is generally mild, but when it gets going from around the 20th of January onwards, it really does get going. Look at all of this blocking within the high latitudes and the jet stream sent southwards. Yes, we bring in the wind from the east, severely cold. And the thing with this winter, because normally when you have a very cold winter, it will be relatively dry, but this is very wet winter as well, and all of that rain, or nearly all of it, falls as snow from like second half of January onwards and through February, and well into March as well. Brutal cold, brutal snow, and it's a very severe winter following that teaser winter. Our next winter is going to be 1954, 1955. This one, again, has blocking more central towards the south of Greenland, but it is quite a cold winter, particularly through January and into February of 1955. Regularly cold, quite a lot of northerly winds, not so much easterly with that one, but a lot of northerlies, I think, in that winter, with some easterlies included. Again, it has quite a mild December in 1954, which you cannot discount, but when it gets going from around the new year of 1955 onwards, you know, it is regularly cold and regularly snowy. And then, of course, there it is. You see here in the very first update that we're doing for this season. So there is Badaddy of Cold Winters, or I should say Badaddy of Cold Winters. It's 62, 63. And look at that with blocking. Again, focus on Greenland and Iceland. Notice the blocking isn't that extreme compared to like January 19, or compared to 1940, 3940. The blocking is not that extreme, actually, in terms of the high latitude, but it's primed just exactly the right position there over southern Greenland and into Iceland to keep us locked into very cold east winds. Again, it's a very easterly winter. Does have northerlies as well, but it's a very easterly winter a lot of the time, with, again, the low pressure, the below average heights going down into southern Europe. Most parts of northern, central, western Europe, very cold in the winter of 62 and winter of 63. Another one here. It's another one. We've got 78, 79. The famous winter of discontent. Again, look at the blocking. Focused around Greenland with the below average heights, the low pressure going down into southern parts of Europe, almost as extreme as 1963, but just not quite reaching that level. However, it is the last time I had a sub-zero CET January, so it's been a long time since I had a sub-zero CET January. 1979, 2 years old in that winter, and there it is. And then we go through to our next one, which is 1984, 1985. So this one, very easterly winter. Again, high pressure centre towards Scandinavia. Low pressure is across some. This update is a cold lover's dream, I think. This is probably the best update, but if you're cold and snow lover, this is the best update you're ever going to see. And I wanted to give you this, you know, for our first update. And, you know, I wanted to give something back to the coldies who have been with me over so many years. So this one, again, has a high pressure over Scandinavia with a low pressure across southern Europe. In come those easterly winds. So, again, it's a properly cold winter, but it's a little bit on and off. It does get a little bit milder later on in the winter. And then, of course, have that long gap through to 0910. So this is how winter of 2009, 2010 looks. Again, notice blocking is centred around Greenland with below pressure, below average heights into southern Europe, and in come those easterly winds. So, yes, that's the last time we have a winter following a teaser winter 2009 and 2010. And then, of course, got 2021, 22. Will it be a winter following a teaser? There we go, got the winky face. Will it be a winter following a teaser? Thank you so much to Shryan for that. I love it. Will winter 21-22 be a winter that follows a teaser? We shall find out in around 6 months' time, won't we? Well, 3 to 6 months. Right, that's going to pull all of that together then. So this is how all December's combined looking following winters, but follow teaser winters, or 4 winters follow teaser winters. Blocking in December with higher pressure in the northern latitudes and lower pressure to the south. So already in the Decembers there is some cold potential. Need to get that low pressure further southwards though. The trough needs to go south, which is what it does in January with the blocking strengthening. This is how all January's combined are looking with winters, but follow teaser winters. Look how the blocking strengthens dramatically around Greenland with the low pressure going southwards into southern Europe, and in come those winds from an easterly direction. Obviously a very, very cold and wintry signal for those Januaries, and the same is true for the Februaries as well. Again, masses of blocking around Greenland and Iceland, the low pressure down into southern parts of Europe, the wind in from that east to northeasterly direction. Really cold for those Februaries that follow teaser winters, and it's how all winters combine following teaser winters. Yes, you've guessed it, and not a surprise, we have all of that blocking around Greenland and Iceland with below pressure going southwards into southern parts of Europe. Very, very cold for those winters following teaser winters. Let's narrow things down to just look at the years post 1950. So this is how all Decembers combined look with winters that follow teaser winters. It doesn't make all that much difference. It's not a classic cold signal for the Decembers because the low pressure is not far enough south. However, there is blocking already getting going with those Decembers. So generally just a cool, wet sort of signal for those Decembers. But look what happens in the Januaries. Here we go again. So all Januaries combined are looking following teaser winters. Post 1950, again, loads of blocking around Greenland and Iceland. Low pressure is sent southwards into southern parts of Europe. We tend to bring the wind in from the east and from the northeast. Obviously, a very cold and wintry signal for those Januaries. This is how all Februaries combined look post 1950 following teaser winters. Again, we get the blocking centre around Greenland and Iceland, the low pressure into southern Europe. The jet stream is pushed south as well. Winds are in from the east and from the northeast. Clearly very cold and wintry potential for those Februaries. And then this is how all winters look following teaser winters post 1950. It is a cold signal with high pressure around Iceland and Greenland, low pressure into southern Europe, the jet stream across south as well, and winds in from the east and from the northeast also. The last thing I want to talk about is what happened in the 70s. So, you know, I've got 77, 78 down to teaser winter, but I think in the 1970s we actually had two teaser winters. So here we are, we have 76, 77, which is like the first teaser, again with quite a lot of blocking within the high latitudes, and that does send very cold air into eastern parts of America. But for us, the trough of low pressure just does not go far enough southwards. So although we have a cold December in 1976, actually the rest of the winter, particularly February 1977, goes mild. And then 77, 78 kind of does the flip on that, and so it gets cold late and is mild earlier in 77, 78. But again, with the blocking up here, I would have that down as like a second teaser winter. See where I'm going with this, maybe. And then finally, you know, the third winter, that's the one that locks in, where we get high pressure around Greenland, and we send that low pressure and the jet stream far enough south to finally get a really cold winter for 78, 79 for the winter of discontent. And that's the only time that happens, though, I think, that you get like two teasers, and then the third one is the cold one. Normally, if you get a cold one for the third one, it's not as cold as the second one as we had for like 2010, 2011, despite the December to remember. Actually, the overall winter for 2010, 2011 was, as we've explained at the start of the video, was not as cold as 09, 10. So, you know, it's a possibility that this winter, 21, 22, might be a second teaser, and then we get a cold winter for 22, 23. But I think that would be quite unlikely to happen. So there you go. That's it. You have to let me know what you think. What do you think about this? It's a very, very, very different update, and I appreciate, you know, not everybody will agree with me doing this. Some people, you know, will be offended that I've done this, I suspect, and will be very unhappy with me. But you know, it's for interest purposes. And remember, this is not our forecast. We are not forecasting yet. We're not forecasting that the winter of 2021, 2022 will be a very cold and snowy winter. We won't be releasing the GavsWeatherVids winter forecast until the end of November or the beginning of December. It's possible we might finish up forecasting a mild winter if all of the drivers begin to in that direction, then we will probably come to the assumption, come to the idea that last winter was not a teaser. It's just like a one-off cooler winter, and we're back into more mild winters again, you know, for 21-22. So this is not our forecast. This is just the starting point of our winter updates. And I wanted to do this particularly, you know, for the cold ears and for the snow lovers. They'll always have this update. However the rest of the updates go and wherever we finish with the forecast, if you like cold and snow, you will always have this update, and it is, you know, there'll probably never be another update that is as good as this, really, if you like cold and snowy weather. So if you are a snow lover, if you're a snowmantic, if you're a cold lover, then this one was for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Right, okay, so we're off and running with our winter updates. Wow, incredible. 35 minutes, incredible update. Thank you so much, everybody who's been on the premiere watching this with me. And thank you so much if you're watching it after the premiere. You know, please smash the like button if you did enjoy it. And if you didn't, you know, try and be kind to don't be too bad to me if you did not enjoy this update. But no, you know, it's all for fun and it's all for discussion. Right, we're off and running with our winter updates. So update number 2, again, part 1, part 2 will be coming up next Sunday and next Monday, and we'll be doing winter updates throughout the autumn, right way to the end of November, when we will release the GavsWeatherVids Winter 2021-2022 update. But for this first update in 2 parts, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.